Well, like when I was younger, and I think this is normal, that you kind of revolt or rebel against the traditions you were raised with. I think it's part of like a young person's identity is to kind of step away from the things that your parents taught you, that your traditions taught you, and you kind of go out and discover yourself. Like for me, I was raised Baptist. I used to go to Baptist school when I was real little. We called it Awanas. I think that's Baptist. Awanas. Or maybe it's just a normal church school. But anyways, I remember going to a bunch of Baptist churches when I was little, specifically Baptist. I don't even really know the differences between them. But I grew up in Detroit, and my family and family friends were like very superficially Christian, and I saw them, and I saw that it didn't really work in their lives. I saw everyone preach one thing and then act another way. Everyone's drunk, everyone's on drugs, everyone is angry and lost. And I also was just like, how can you decide which God is real? Once I started finding out, like, India has their own set of religions, uh, different countries around the world have different beliefs. For example, Muslims don't believe, and Jews don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. So, like, what makes us think that our little tiny sliver of idea of what God is, our little concept, is the right one? And I remember stepping away from that and just being like, "This is so," but more like in an angry kind of way, like, "This is so dumb." And I remember being very aggressive towards anyone that believed that kind of stuff. I would love to argue with them and just say, like, "How do you know it's Zeus isn't the real God? Why do you choose this God instead of, uh, you know, Odin or something?" And I could still argue that today because it's still like, really, you think your little tiny culture is the only culture that figured it out? But as I grew and developed and kind of learned and kind of looked at the world differently, that was an important stage for me to go through to sort of revolt from the idea of God and to kind of go through this notion that there is no God. We're just in this empty universe, this dead universe, and meaning is not found really anywhere other than the places that we apply it to ourselves. And that's just mind stuff. There is no actual meaning in a rock, there is no actual meaning in any experience. The tree is just a tree. Yeah, it might be alive, but I'm alive, and there's no meaning to my existence either. This is what I really went through for a long time, all throughout my teenage years, up until my early 20s when I met the mushroom. And you know, I was very depressed in a kind of suicidal way in my high school days. I had a friend that died, killed himself. I had another friend OD, and I was just like really confronted with some heavy stuff being like 14, 15, 16, and being confronted with that is as a kid is interesting because it's just like it when you're a kid you don't really understand the seriousness of life. You feel invincible, you're with your friends, you're kind of almost high in a natural way. But then I was like seeing my friend kill himself, my other friend Nick just dies from taking drugs, and we're me and my friends are just like so confused about what this experience is. It's just like this is just how it ends. You just die. How can there be meaning to anything? Nothing I do can matter because I'm just going to die. What's the point of working hard in life and what's the point of trying to achieve all these things if at the end it just is nothing? Like what is the point? And that sort of like I rode that wave for a long time just thinking like none of this matters. I just want to lay in bed all day and just sob because like what's the point of doing anything differently? This is the only kind of thing that makes me feel like it's true. Truth is actually desperation because at the end of this, everyone I love is going to die. I'm going to lose everything. And there was one moment that was very pivotable, pivotable, pivotal to me in my life. I remember I was just like contemplating killing myself, about 17 years old, and I was sitting in my grandma's room alone, and I was just like in tears, basically. It's pathetic now to think back to it, but it was a very important moment for me. And I looked up, and there was a TV that was off, so I could see my reflection in the blackness of the TV. And I just had like a flash of realization of how stupid I am to think that there's no meaning in things and to think that like happiness is an illusion. I just realized in that moment, like, I'm choosing to view the world this way. I can actually choose to view the world anyway. And in that choice, it reacts to my choice. This world of creation reacts to the way I interact with it. So if I want to be sad, it's easy for me to see the sadness in things. How is it not? There's death, there's decay, there's constant change, nothing ever stays. But also, if I want to see the happiness, the beauty, it's there. It's very easy to see that this whole world is a mystery. That, yeah, none of us know why we're here. Yeah, we're in this thing that apparently seems to be infinite. And in that infiniteness, there is confusion, strangeness. And here we are just trying to figure it out in the middle somehow of this chaos. And I was able to see that I can apply meaning. There might not be meaning into all this, but I can make it meaningful if I want it to be meaningful. And in that, it becomes real. So that was kind of the very first step in my reconnection to God. Not God in a religious sense, but God in the sense of a mystery. God in the sense of that there is kind of some aspect to this reality that is spiritual. There is a quality to this reality that is spiritual. And some people don't like these terms, God and spiritual. But for me, there's power in reclaiming these in my way. It doesn't mean Jesus. It doesn't mean Muhammad. It doesn't mean the Buddha. It doesn't mean Krishna. It doesn't mean any of these things. What it means to me is the mystery that I'm a part of a story that is unfolding in this universe, and that for a tiny sliver of a moment, I get to experience light. I get to experience breath. I get to experience love, pain, the array of emotions, and then I get to experience the privilege of being a human. I could have easily been born anything, but here I am in this human experience. I get to fall in love with people. I get to fall in love with moments. I get to walk this planet. I get to interact with it. And in that is this profoundness. And in that is this is this interaction with you guys in this moment. And for me, there's God hiding in that. And it's not God in the sense of the Father in the sky, but it's God in the sense of the source of everything. That behind all this temporary experience, behind all the death, behind all the life, behind everything that always changes, behind the mystery is an even bigger mystery. There's a source in which all of this stuff is coming out of. And this source, despite all these things changing, despite the fact that I was once a baby being embraced by a family to now hardly having a family, all I really have is my mom and my sister. And behind that, there is something that doesn't change. Maybe it's the consciousness, because the consciousness watches the body go from a baby to childhood, to young adult, to middle life, to death, to old age, to death. But like the thing that watches all of this doesn't change. Your body changes, but the awareness, the awakeness, the alertness, the force that is life doesn't change. It remains. The source of energy eternally echoes into the infinite. And to me, that's what God is. So like for me, I don't necessarily like need religion because it's all religious to me. Every moment is a religious experience. How can it not be? I don't need some kind of dogma or some personification to address that. I just need to simply look and I can see it everywhere when I'm in my better moments. So for me, yeah, I believe in God in that sense. I believe that God is the source of everything and that we are all a part of that. And eventually we all melt back into it and maybe we come back out and there's this infinite dance of coming and going and coming and going or maybe it only happens once, I don't know, but whatever it is, there's a golden eternity that is forever there. All our dramas, all our pains, sorrows, happinesses, all the times we snuck out from our families and went and met a girl, or you went and met a boy, or whatever your personal story is, that's just a unique thing that gets to happen. But beyond that, there's just this silence that goes on and it goes on and it goes on, and it'll be here. It's here actually now. It was here before we were born, and it'll be here long after we're gone. And to me, that's what God means. So, yeah, I believe in God. Have you experienced infinity? It's impossible not to experience infinity. You're in it now. What do you think about nihilist? I don't think about them. I'll let the nihilist think about nihilist. For me, I'm just interested in my own self and my own awakening. And like I just said, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of this little rant I'm on, but like I went through a very nihilistic period. And for me, it was one of the most important stages of my awakening. It was one of, and I'm not that I'm like some awakened Buddha or something like that, but like I recognize there's a spiritual quality to my existence. And if I didn't go through that nihilism, I would say like I would have never had the opportunity to see it. What's my skin routine? I have bad skin, actually. Right now, it looks okay, but like if I start eating bread and a lot of sugar, my face gets all red and like dry. My skin routine is like Head and Shoulders on my face and like some eczema cream and some other cream and this and that. I actually have a really oily face. Why does infinity scare me? Well, because it's scary. Truth is scary. Where am I at the moment? Right now, I am in Şanlıurfa. Şanlıurfa is a city in Turkey. Şanlıurfa is known as the city of prophets. It's called the city of prophets because here is the birthplace of Abraham, or Ibrahim, they call him here. And this is also the place where the prophet Jacob was here, the prophet Job was here. There's been many very important biblical stories happen right where I'm sitting now. This place, well, about the next town over called Haran, is mentioned in Genesis in the Bible. Many of you guys know Moses also came through here, but many of you guys have heard of Jacob's ladder. This is a story of the prophet Jacob on his way to somewhere. He was traveling somewhere. I don't know the story so well, but he was traveling somewhere and he took a nap in Haran. He took a nap, laid his head on a rock, and he had a dream, a vision in his sleep of a big ladder or a big staircase. And in this staircase, it went from the heavens to the earth, and angels were ascending and descending with God sitting at the top. And this was the first time in the Bible where God revealed that he can deliver messages to people in their dreams. And God revealed that places can be a sacred place. So this is like only maybe 15, 20 minutes from where I'm at now, where that story supposedly took place. And there's a cave directly across the street. Here, I'll actually walk my laptop over and I'll show you. This is a very important pilgrimage place for all of the Abrahamic faiths. Let me see. Can we see it? I'm gonna open the window. But there's a cave here that's been occupied for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But at least 4,000 years ago, it's where they say Abraham was born. You see those two pillars back there? Where's it at? Where are those pillars? Oh, right there. Right there. Those two pillars, under those two pillars is a cave. The cave has like ancient carvings in it. But the story is there was a king here, and there was a prophecy revealed to the king from one of the shamans saying that there's going to be a child born that's going to destroy your kingdom. It's going to dethrone you, and everything you've worked for will be gone. So this king, which they call Nimrod, that's what we call him. Actually, here they call him Nemrut, but in the English, the way we have grown up with it is Nimrod. And it's actually a title. It's not the king's name. Nimrod means like a bad king. So Nimrod began killing all the children born that year because he didn't want the prophecy to come true. Abraham's mother, when she was pregnant, hid in this cave and gave birth to Abraham in this cave. And the legend is that in this cave, Abraham grew very quickly. Within like a month, he grew multiple years. And when he left the cave, he was already like a young boy. And he began preaching monotheism. And the king didn't like this. So the king eventually found out about Abraham and was going to kill him. And they took Abraham to the top of this hill and they built this big fire and they were going to publicly kill him in front of everybody. And when they pushed him into this big pile of fire, the fire turned to water and the logs turned to fish. And they come here and worship this lake that's full of fish. And in English, they call it Fish Lake. And there's a big plaque that says, this is where Abraham was thrown into the fire, yada, yada. And all the people, having seen this miracle, then converted. The people of Urfa converted to monotheism, having seen this miracle happen in front of their eyes. And this is the legend in the Quran. And, it's just a story, obviously. But many people from all around the world come here for a pilgrimage. And they say those two pillars was actually the two pillars that he was thrown from. It's not in the Bible, it's in the Quran. So this is a very holy place. And also, if you know the story of Job, which is one of my favorite stories in the Bible, the story of Job is where the devil and God make a deal with each other. The devil goes to God and says, you know what? I don't think Job is as loyal and devoted to you as you think he is. I think he's only devoted to you because he has a blessed life. He has a beautiful family. He has all the riches. He has a nice farm. But if you took that from him, I bet he would turn from you in an instant. So God said, all right, we'll play a little game. So God then gives Job all these boils on his body. He destroys his crops, kills his family. And through it all, Job remains loyal to God. It's a really nice story. I don't know it well enough to justify it, but it's one of my favorites. And that supposedly happened here also. So, this is a very sacred place where I'm sitting now. And whether or not these stories are true, the Bible says this is where it happened. So, just to think for like thousands of years, the energy of worship that's been happening here because of those stories is measurable, you know. Do you believe in chemicals and molecules? Is that a belief? I think it's pretty measurable that chemicals and molecules are real things. All the prophets are a metaphor for what we can be. Yeah, I also think they were real people too. You know, I think the echoes of them get turned into legends and get sort of, amplified. But ultimately, I think they're probably real people at one point. Do you believe that psychedelics are essential for spiritual transformation? No, they're not essential at all, actually. Why would they be? You are spiritual simply because you are here. Nothing is required. You asked the next question you asked, what does home mean for me? You are already home. Your spirit is already here. Your spiritual home is not hiding in psychedelics. It's not hiding in religion. It's not hiding anywhere. The only place it's hiding is beyond your thoughts that convince you that you need something you don't need. We're constantly, because of our biology, chasing something. We're constantly wanting infinite love from people. We're always dependent on something, you know? Oh, I love this girl. If only she would love me back, I would be happy. Oh, if only I would have this car, I would be happy. If only I could just get this food that I'm craving right now, I would be happy. And then we eat the food that we were craving all day, and then after we're done with it, we're on to the next thing. Oh, if only I could have this. This world, this ego is the flow of attachments. We go from one attachment to the next attachment to the next attachment. But beyond that, behind that, the gap in between these thoughts is our home. And we're always there. There's always a silence behind our thoughts, you know. It's like clouds, you know. The sky has always got some clouds in it, and you can make shapes of these clouds and apply meaning to them. But behind the clouds is just the blueness, you know. It's just this still blueness, and that's our home. Do you still plan on doing psychedelics? Yeah, for me, the psychedelic experience is a part of my path, but I don't think it's necessarily for everybody. What's on the palm of my hand? It's henna. It's almost gone now, but it was henna and on my fingers and here, but it's all rubbing off. I used to do psychedelics, but got nothing but being completely out of it, not remembering much. Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. You need a lot of preparation and a lot of preparation to really utilize it the way it's supposed to be utilized. What are my thoughts on astrology? I don't know anything about astrology. But there's one place I visit every time I'm here. I visit this place once a year. I come here. And there's a place, one of my favorite villages here is called Sogmatar. And Sogmatar was originally, it's been occupied for at least 5,000 years, probably longer than that. But Sogmatar was initially a cultic center of moon worship. There's carvings of really unusual humanoid figures with big moon heads, and they say it's for the god Sin, who is the Assyrian moon god. And then later the Romans came, and the Romans also used this site as a place for celestial worship. So the Romans built these 7 temples for the planets, and yeah, I visit this place all the time. I spent a lot of time there, years. I know all the kids and families there, and every time I go back, the kids are just growing a little bit and little bit and little bit. So they're a part of my life. I've watched these kids begin to grow up, and I every time I go there, I bring enough candy for all of them, and yeah, built a really beautiful relationship there in that village, and every time they see me, they know they're getting some chocolate and stuff, so was just there yesterday. If infinite exists, then even though we're grounded in this reality, don't you think there's magic or the unimaginable being possible in this world? Yeah, I mean, I think we are very limited due to our biology that we can't experience all that's actually happening here. As I was just saying, this world is the flow of attachments. We are blinded and hypnotized by our own bullshit. So, how can we see things beyond ourselves? It's very rare that we see beyond ourselves. We're looking for our next fix. We're looking for, oh, I gotta pee. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I gotta do that. Oh, I forgot to call my mom. Oh, this person's annoying me. We are constantly like, and the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. We are never just fully immersed into truth. We're only immersed into our version of truth that is filtered through our bullshit. So yeah, how can we experience the full magic of this place when we are just like, you know, craving sex or craving some bullshit? Hello, Emma. Thank you also for being you. Without you being you, I can't fully be me. How do you get to that place where you can experience the immersion into the experience? Well, that's what spiritual practice is. That's for you to figure out. I can't tell you how to do it. This life is a very personal journey. And there's methods. That's what all these religions are. All these religions are different methods to achieve that. And maybe they don't work for you. So you have to find your own. Or maybe you resonate with one. And if you resonate with one, dig deeper. And thank you for the rupees. Bye. Mira bye. Hara Hara Mahadev. Do I like jazz? Yeah, I love jazz. You quit weed? Yeah, I don't smoke weed either no more. What do you do when you're anxious? I chant and I breathe. Because what anxiety is a loop in your thoughts. You get stuck in a loop. And this loop creates a momentum for energy. And this negative loop creates a momentum of negative energy that goes through your body and gets experienced as anxiety. So a good way to break this loop is to chant. You can figure out what chant works for you. I prefer the chants from the Sanatana Dharma philosophy. For me, I really relate to Shiva. I really relate to Krishna, to Ram, to these beautiful stories from India. So for me, I chant things like just the name of Ram, 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 Ram. And through this repetition, you break that loop. Baba Ram Das, who is a teacher of mine, used to say, I am loving awareness. 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 And that's another mantra, another chant. And the way I imagine it in my head is like a dirty bedroom. You know, we have all this clutter in our minds, and you just sort of sweep all of it to the middle of your mind through the mantra. The I am loving awareness is the broom pushing everything to one point, and then that one point is the loving awareness, and you just eventually sort of like, you know, you kind of just get there, you get there, and then you're just there in the center, and then you lose yourself in the I am loving awareness. Ram, 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 Ram. And it's just this wave that carries you through. And then all that anxiety, all of those confusing thoughts get sort of, they just fall into the mantra. This is also the meaning of prayer. The meaning of prayer is not to say, God, please, if you let me. When I was younger, I used to play baseball, and I remember I would be like, please, God, just if you just let me win this baseball game, I will believe in you. Just let me win, please. And then I'd lose, and I'd be like, oh God damn it, you know, you didn't answer my prayer. But that's not what prayer's about. It's not, God, please give me this car, please give me this girl. It's like, God, I'm so grateful for this moment. Thank you for the beautifulness of this existence. Thank you to the earth for growing this food in which I nourish my body with. Thank you for the friendships that have come to my life that have taught me so much. Thank you that I have a body that is healthy, that is capable. Thank you for the loving abundance that I have to sort of love people in my life, even if maybe they hurt me. Thank you for the just thank you. You know, this is a prayer. And this can also remove that anxiety. Do I speak the mantras or think them, or does it matter? I do both. Sometimes I kind of whisper it, sometimes I say it loudly, sometimes I say it silently. It typically depends on my environment. Sometimes I'm a little shy. I don't like to be weird people out, so I'll just say it in my head. If I'm by myself, sometimes I chant out loud. It's however you want. If you really want to get to a deep meditation, sometimes doing it out loud can really like create a vibration that kind of helps, especially like om or different noises can help like create a vibrational momentum in your body, and that will stimulate you to sort of feel something into like a transcendence, you know. Thank you so much, Closer to God, for the donation. Do you ever practice yoga? Everything I'm talking about is yoga. In Sanatana Dharma, yoga means connection, it means union. All of these methods I am sharing with you now are methods of connection, are methods of union. Do you like Mexican cuisine? Yeah, I love Mexican food. Mexican food is the best food in the world. Playing an instrument or anything rhythmic that engages you enough to distract you and focus on the task at hand. Yeah, music and dance are one of the most primitive and ancient forms. They're actually technologies. They're meditation technologies. Like you know, like imagine you can imagine our ancestors way, way, way back when playing drum music and dancing around a fire and getting into a trance state. This is shamanism. This is a yoga. This is a way for us to connect to a state that's beyond the normal state. Dancing and music, these are shamanic practices. We don't see it now, but if you ever been to a concert, you have felt the potential to elevate yourself, to feel a transcendent experience. Concerts are giant shamanic ceremonies, actually. Especially like if you imagine the EDM scene now with all the lights and the techno, it's very psychedelic and very, they even call it trance, because it puts you into a trance. All this is the evolution of our tribal past. What are my future plans? Well, I have some retreats planned. I would love for any of you that have some extra money and would like to travel with me to join. We are doing a we're doing a retreat in Peru this September. You can send me an email, dakota@dakotawint.com, and just say, hey, I'm interested in joining one of your retreats. Send me the info. I'll send it all to you. But we're going to go to the different archaeological sites: Machu Picchu, Sexai Woman, Ollantaytambo. I always have trouble pronouncing that one. Pisac. And we're also going to be doing Wachuma, which is the San Pedro cactus. It's actually the oldest known shamanic ceremony in history that we know about. For thousands of years, the indigenous people of the Andes have been taking this cactus, which is a mescaline cactus. It's a psychedelic cactus. We'll be doing one of these ceremonies with the shaman, and there will also be an opportunity to do ayahuasca. It's not part of the retreat, but it's an extra. You have to stay another 2 days if you would like to do that. But if you want to come and join, I would love for you to come and join. And it's going to be a beautiful week or 10 days if you decide to do the ayahuasca. What else? In Mexico this August, if you know who Maria Sabina is, we will be going to meet Maria Sabina's family. We will be doing a traditional mushroom ceremony with a Mazatec shaman. We will be going to places like Monte Alban, which is like some pyramids, very, very cool pyramids. We will be going to Mitla, which is another archaeological site. We will go to some indigenous villages and do some workshops and do some really fun activities. It's a very packed week. It's all these experiences are like life changing. I am very confident, very, very confident that I can provide a life changing experience to anybody that comes on these retreats. And, there's a staff of people that are there, facilitators. Everyone is very professional. It's a real retreat. And they're very structured to be transformational, transformative, transformational, transformational. Is that a word? Transformational. Anyways, yeah, in Oaxaca. Is it legal? Yeah, they're both legal. It's not in the United States. You'll have to fly to the country that it's in, Peru and Mexico. And I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm being very honest when I say it'll change your life. Like I promise it'll change your life, It costs money to do it because it's costs money to rent a bus, it costs money to rent out hotels, it costs money to pay shamans, to pay facilitators, to go Machu Picchu alone is like $500 per person. So it's like it costs money to make this happen. But it's an energetic exchange, like the amount of memories and experience you'll get out of this is priceless. Can you please name the cafe you had brownie in Casol? Sure. I actually don't remember the name of it, but it's in Chalal. You go to Chalal, and outside of the cafe, it says special brownie. I forget the name of the place. I'm sorry, but just like watch my video, and you'll see the special brownie painting, and you just match it up. You can probably ask anybody in Chalal, "Where's the special brownie cafe?" And they'll tell you. Actually, most of them have it. And I ate one last time I was in Kasol in Shalal, like I don't know, a couple months ago, like in June or something of last year, and I was so blasted out of my mind. I was like very, very, very high. So they work. Yeah, I never recorded any of these retreats. I don't know why, but I will start recording them. I'll be in India next year. I don't know when yet. How many death experiences you have? Can you share shamanic dietas before and after ceremony? I've never had any death experience. Um, and I don't know any dietas to recommend. I recommend you speak with a real shaman about that stuff. You said in one of your last live streams you smoke weed sometimes. Yeah, I smoke weed sometimes, but it's not like a daily activity for me anymore. It's not like I'm against it. If someone offers me weed, if I feel like smoking in the moment, I'll smoke. If not, then not. It's just right now in my life, I'm not smoking any weed. I just don't need it anymore. Like it's I just it was such a lifestyle for me. And it's like for what? Like I depend on it actually a lot. Like I need to hit my bong before I leave, or like I need to hit my bong before I go on a live stream or something. And it's just like why? I'm okay just being here. Oh, that's cool, Josh. Thank you for buying a copy of my book. If any of you would like to buy a copy of my book, and also Josh, if you haven't, please go leave a review on Amazon. If you like the book, leave a nice review for me because that really helps. And if any of you want to go leave a nice review for my book, go to barefootliktheearth.com. It'll forward you to Amazon and just say like, "Hey, this book was great. I recommend it. Please buy." It really helps me. Any stories of Ramdas? Yeah, something that was really cool for me was my friend Lucian, who was Ramdas's caretaker, took me to, I met Ramdas a couple times before this, but Lucian was just like, "Hey, Baba, this is Dakota." And Ramdas goes, I know who he is. And I was like, oh, Ramdas knows me. Like, oh, my heart. That was a really cool moment for me. What do I think about Jesus? I think God is the universe and Jesus becomes one with the universe, thus being called God by many. I think Jesus recycles energy, negative into positive. I love Jesus. I don't know. I don't know. I can't articulate what Jesus means, but all I know is that when I think about Jesus, I feel a lot of love. And if we can learn to accept that love fully, then we enter to the kingdom of heaven. Because if you love everything, then you are already in heaven. I've never met Sam Harris, and I'm actually not really interested in meeting Sam Harris. I mean, if it happens, that would be cool. I would actually like to talk to him, but like, it's not someone I'm really going to seek out. Has traveling helped you figure out your perspective on spirit? Yeah, of course. Traveling has been the main spiritual practice for me. You recently met an Agori Baba who was with me. What's his name? Jesus is a symbol of the sun. Horus, you mean Horus, as in Horus, and Christ consciousness. That's one way to look at it, you know. Um, if you really read the Bible, I think Jesus is what he says he is. You know, he's a human being that's necessarily not symbolic, and he was just saying the truth, you know. I mean, it's possible to read the Bible symbolically, but maybe it's all a real story. Who knows? Was my favorite movie? Mm, Forrest Gump. I never heard of Damien Echols. Is it good to trip on shrooms every week? Mm, I'm not here to impose my ideas of good. You know, you follow your own heart. For me personally, I would not take mushrooms every week. For me, they are very is a very sacred sacrament. The mushroom is for me, it's not something I want to abuse. For me, it's a very serious ritual in which I do maybe once a year, twice a year. But I treat it like a ceremony. I don't treat it like a substance to get high. Uh, I mean, you trust your own heart, you know. Whatever you want to do in your life is for you. You know, we're gonna have different opinions on things, but if you're asking me, I would say no, it's not good. My thoughts on Chenga? I've never tried it, so I don't have any thoughts on it. Take 5 grams every day or noob. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I love Terrence McKenna, but I cringe a little bit at all the people that like hold on to his word as gospel. You know, you don't need 5 grams. You're not a noob if you don't take 5 grams. You know, this is just Terrence McKenna's advice. I don't think we need to hold him in a throne as being like the objective wisdom of mushrooms. What's the difference between ayahuasca and mushroom trips? Well, for me, you know, I think we should respect the mushroom and not I think calling it shrooms sort of it keeps this idea, and even calling it a trip, it really keeps us in this we don't respect it when we give it names like this. Calling it a shroom implies like that's what kind of like the party people call it, you know. I think it's our responsibility as spirit, or at least my responsibility as a spiritual person that really respects the sacrament of the mushroom, to at least at the very least just call it the mushroom. You know, different people call it different things. In the Mazatec, they call it Los Niños Santos. They call them the small saints. So I think it's very important the way that we speak about these things. It's okay to call it a trip because I mean it's like you're going on a journey or something, but ultimately it's a doorway to a spiritual world. The difference between ayahuasca and mushrooms, well, they're on a scientific level, they're different chemicals, they're different structures. They are very close. DMT and psilocybin is just one oxygen molecule different from each other. So the effects are somewhat similar, but ayahuasca produces a big purging effect. It makes you puke Mushrooms can also make you puke, but almost every time when you take ayahuasca, you're purging. And this is considered to be the medicine, the medicinal effect of ayahuasca. It's very important to the tribes that use ayahuasca that you throw up. Um, the tribal people, the indigenous people that use mushrooms, have their own ideas. It's there's no set in stone answer to these things. Um, you know, for me, the mushroom is the star on top of the Christmas tree. It's the throne. It sits in the psychedelic throne. I look at the mushroom as being the most ancient ancestor on this planet, the most ancient elder on this planet. And I think that means we should respect it as that because it is the first type of species that evolved here. And maybe it's not even from here. Um, the mushroom will give you what you want. If you just use it for psytrance festivals and to dance and to get fucked up with your friends, it'll give you that. But if you use it as a magical ceremony, as a way to have spiritual clarity, to have develop psychic ability, it will teach you that. So for me, this is the way I choose to view it. This is the way I choose to use it. And for people that ask me for advice on this kind of things, this is how I would recommend that you also use it and you also uh, treat it like a ceremonial experience. It's not something that you just take with your friends as a fun little. And it can be if you want, but for me, like this is a very serious thing. You should sit down with intention, with focus, with some kind of clarity, and then use the mushroom, then use the ayahuasca. Treat it as a pilgrimage into a sacred world. Corn never originated on Earth. Okay. Sometimes I don't know how to answer these statements you guys leave. You need to start live streaming more. Yeah, I want to live stream, but uh I'm bad. I'm a bad social media person. What up, Italy? Italia. How do you say hello in Italy? Italia. Spaghetti. Mamma mia. Yo quiero un spaghetti. Somebody please tell me where to get some pasta. Fettuccine Alfredo. What do you think about microdosing? It's not an experience that I have any experience in. My email is dakota@dakotawint.com. Will you make videos about the poems? I will. Yeah, I will. Definitely. Am I happy? Well, like, in this current moment I am happy. But happiness is not some orb, some sun that is just constantly flowing happiness out of it. It's not some bulb of energetic happiness that is just consistently going and going and going. Happiness is like a wave. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's here, sometimes the wind is stronger, sometimes there's no wind. Happiness is not sustainable in all moments. So In this moment, I'm very happy to be here with all of you. How can we make weed content without being censored? My channel is dead at this point. You know, YouTube censors me even just for posting normal videos. If I make this video because I'm talking about God will get censored by YouTube. They don't like me talking about anything. Every single video I post gets flagged by YouTube. It doesn't even matter what it's about at this point. I'm gonna have to make a new channel or just give up. Mamma mia! Where is the fettuccine? What should we chase? You shouldn't chase anything. What you're chasing is you already have it. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me for this hour. I know it's late where some of you guys are at. I don't know who Paul Selig is. I never heard of that name before. Thanks for chilling with me. I'll catch y'all around next time. Hara Hara Mahadev.